The room fell silent, a collective gasp rippling through the packed Senate chamber as Adam Schiff's words sliced through the air like a blade. Uneducated. That's what you are, Senator Kennedy, a man with no business shaping the future of this nation. The insult hung heavy, aimed squarely at John Kennedy, the soft-spoken Louisiana senator known for his sharp wit and down-to-earth charm. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled furiously, and for a moment, it seemed the weight of the accusation might crush him. But then, with a steady gaze and a voice that carried the weight of a lifetime, Kennedy leaned forward, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You want to talk about education, Senator Schiff? Let me tell you a story, not from some Ivy League lecture hall, but from the heart of a little girl who taught me more than any book ever could. It was a story that began decades ago, in the humid backroads of Louisiana, where Kennedy grew up as the son of a hard-working farmer and a schoolteacher mother who instilled in him the value of resilience. Among his earliest memories was his younger sister, Clara, a bright-eyed girl with a mischievous laugh and a mind that soaked up the world like a sponge. Clara wasn't like other kids, though. Doctors later diagnosed her with a learning disability, a label that in those days carried a stigma heavier than the Louisiana mud. The local school refused to accommodate her, and the family watched helplessly as she was pushed aside, deemed uneducable, by a system that didn't understand her. Kennedy, just a lanky teenager then, saw the hurt in her eyes, the way she'd sit by the window, tracing shapes in the dirt with a stick, dreaming of a world that wouldn't shut her out. That image burned into his soul, fueling a quiet determination to fight for those who were overlooked. As the years passed, Kennedy's path led him to law school and eventually to the Senate, but Clara's story never left him. He carried it like a compass, guiding his votes on education reform and disability rights. Back in the chamber, as Schiff smirked, expecting a flustered rebuttal, Kennedy's voice grew softer, more deliberate. He described the day Clara, now in her 30s, had called him in tears. She'd been turned away from a job training program, the rejection letter citing her inadequate education as the reason. She told me she felt like that little girl again, staring out that window, Kennedy said, his voice cracking slightly. But then she said something I'll never forget. John, I may not have their degrees, but I've learned how to keep going when the world says stop. The room shifted, senators, aides, even the stern-faced security guards leaned in, caught by the raw honesty of his words. The challenge escalated when Schiff, undeterred, doubled down, calling Kennedy's anecdote sentimental nonsense, and demanding he stick to facts and figures. The tension peaked as Kennedy faced a choice: retreat into a dry policy debate or stand firm in his truth. He chose the latter, pulling from his briefcase a worn notebook filled with Clara's handwritten letters, stories of her volunteering at a community center, teaching other disabled adults to read, proving her worth beyond any diploma. This isn't sentiment, Kennedy said, holding up the notebook like a shield. This is the education of a heart that refuses to break. And if that's uneducated in your eyes, Senator, then I'm proud to wear that label. The chamber erupted in applause, a rare moment of unity cutting through the usual partisan divide. Resolution came not just in that moment but in the days that followed. Inspired by Kennedy's story, a bipartisan group of senators, including some of Schiff's allies, pushed for an emergency hearing on disability education funding. Clara herself was invited to testify, her nervous but determined voice filling the room as she shared her journey. The bill that emerged, named the Clara Act, allocated millions to support inclusive education programs, a victory born from one man's refusal to let his sister's spirit be erased. Schiff, though initially resistant, found himself outmaneuvered by the groundswell of support, his earlier arrogance giving way to a grudging respect. As the 30-minute mark approached, Kennedy stood on the Capitol steps, the autumn sun casting a warm glow over the crowd. This isn't about me or Senator Schiff, he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion. It's about every Clara out there, every person told they're not enough. Education isn't just in books, it's in the courage to rise, to teach, to love. Let's build a nation that learns that lesson. The crowd cheered, tears mingling with smiles, and the message lingered: true strength lies not in titles or degrees, but in the stories we carry and the lives we lift. For viewers tuning in, it was a call to action, a reminder that empathy and perseverance can rewrite even the hardest narratives, leaving an inspiring echo long after the screen faded to black.